Salutations, everybody. My name is DrXentross, and you may call me Zen. Sorry for the ever long hiatus. I have been quite busy as of late. I was out of town for a while for the Peoria Regional hosted by Top Cut Events. Now, I didn't do particularly well in this tournament. Well, I can't say that. I got top 64. However, two of my teammates, Worst Luck Carlos and Q, were able to secure their invites. And granted, I didn't do as well as them as this tournament. I actually got top 64. This was the deck I was running. I ended up winning my first 5 games. However, I ran into several issues in my matchups where I ended up losing to a Hajime, Shadow Army, and Spear in a row. And because of that and the information I found out the following weekend for the Kissimee Regional hosted by Versus Games, I was able to take that information and come forward with a different deck to play. So, if you haven't heard the news from the Versus Game Regional, I actually took home 4th place out of, I think at the end it was like 377 players. But yeah, no, my only loss was to Jason, which, if you don't know who Jason is, he is ever popular as the Bambi's player from Nationals. He also got top 32 with Keisho in Montreal, so kudos to him. Amazing guy. All the love and support to him. But enough of that in the meantime. Today we're going to be talking about my deck list that I actually brought to this tournament. Now, I do have it pulled up. One thing I will say about this deck list is it is not that different from some things we have seen. I actually have it pulled up here as a comparison. I believe this was the Worlds deck that was featured back in February, I believe, or if not January. But pretty much this is a pretty standard list compared to my own. There's only one real ratio difference where instead of playing 3 final 4 Hisuke, I had the numbers swapped. And then instead of playing 4-1, I played 3-3 for my 1 cost. And I'll get into that in a second. Big reasons why I had those ratios is because of how I run the deck and because of my package. It either got to a point where I was seeing my Sakamoto raids and no viable targets specifically for the rare Sakamoto, or it got to a point where, because I was searching so much, I was ending up trashing too many targets, and I got to a point where I wasn't seeing my shins. So having the 3-3 split definitely helped me out this tournament because it helped me guarantee finding my Sakamoto targets while not completely negating being able to find my necessary cards. And then one of the biggest things I will say, having the 3 Hisuke 4 final split, yeah, it's a little weird, but there is a good and bad side to these ratios. So the reason for the 3 Hisuke is, for me, playing already my only get trigger 0 and then also the 3 cost. Yes, double gens are really good. However, through all my testing and in all my matches, I was able to see at least 1 Hisuke and or multiple Sakamoto double gens. So playing this at 4 didn't really feel necessary for me. And then also in none of my matchups, I played really into anything messing with my energy line. So as long as I saw 1 Hisuke, I was pretty much set up for the rest of the game. And, amazing effect. Switch to resting, trash a card. Flip up a life, boost something by 2k. That came up in a lot of my games, actually, whether making my color a 4k or even my step Sakamoto a 5k after free playing with the skinny raid. And that is the term I will use, is skinny raid. It ended up coming up a lot and helped me close out a lot of my games. The reason why I say it is bad is the reason why I played the 4 finals is, for lack of a better term, it would be mad funny. I made a joke to myself where I said everyone that sees the hybrid is going to expect 3 finals, because a lot of people are also playing 3 finals in their decks. So I made a bet with myself where I said there's no way I will ever get an invite with this deck playing 4 finals, yet somehow I still pulled through and got the 4th place spot, and I still walked away with a playmat. So very, very exciting. Other than that, the list is pretty typical, like I said, compared to the Worlds list. Same amount of the raids, the Xiaotong. This card is too necessary for me. Yeah, it's a no trigger, but the biggest thing is, it's like with most ratios. If you play it at 4, you see it too much. If you play it at 2, you see it too little. So 3 is my magic number when it comes to this game. If I have it at 3, I'm at least guaranteed to see it one time. And she came up so many times, and between her and the rare Sakamoto raid helped me close out so many games. And the amount of just versatility this deck had into a lot of my matchups, which I actually have them pulled up on my phone, so let me get to that real quick. My matchups weren't too bad. There weren't any games that particularly I felt that I just kind of hardcore lost to. First game, I got Kenshin. Nothing really crazy to say there. The unfortunate part for them is a lot of their double gens were in their life. So early on, I was able to raid my rare Sakamoto, giving protection to Shin, because they were only seeing their starter deck raids. And so with that, they weren't able to really target anything meaningful to sort of push back to my energy line to get extra damage in. Game 2, I ended up playing into a Spear, which I don't know the exact ratios, but I know they were playing at least 3 of the Wily specials, which, because of that, this card came up so much in that deck, in the matchup, I mean. I was able to get him out early, where I think I had him with a Shin Raid and Shin Zero, and pretty much it was at a point where they couldn't waste their special on my 2K, so they had to wait an entire extra turn before inevitably using it on a Hisuke, and they just only saw 1 Spear Raid, I believe, so they ended up running out of steam, and I was able to capitalize off of them not being able to minus my board. Going off of that, round 3 and 4, I did play into Red Bocce, which I was very surprised coming from Peoria. As of right now, I think we're only waiting for 4 people to submit their lists, but as of those 4 placements, there was no Red Bocce at all in the top 32 placements, which there were quite a few people playing it. I did play them for round 3 and 4, and I will admit they were whooping me. I lost a lot of life really early, but a main problem I'm realizing with the deck is a lot of people are running out of steam really early in their matchups. And especially with this deck, I was able to sort of stall out for a while. If I'm able to get a skinny Sakamoto out of life, free 5k block, cheat out any of my weenie bodies, or even cheating out the fat Sakamoto, sick. Can't target something with a special or something, and then he also cannot be sidelined. So, really good for stalling out the game, and then, at that point, it comes down to who sees what, and I just ended up seeing my closer before they saw their closer. But, kudos to them still. Great games. Round 5, I ended up going into a Kisho, which I did not know how to feel into the matchup. I'm going to be honest, it was really intense. They ended up raiding Kisho twice and hard playing once, I believe. But, 2 Juzo raids, 2 specials. It was a very uphill battle. So I think for that game, it was a gamble where I had to just sort of... They had 1 blocker, 3 life, and I had to push up my energy line. And by some luck, I was able to swing them out, and their life wasn't anything helpful, unfortunately. But they were a great sport about it. They were an awesome dude. Kudos to them. Game 6 was very fun. I actually played against Necro Knight. really chill guy. Loved playing against him. Really fun game. Um, because of the face-up life mechanic, it ended up coming down to seeing my pieces before him. And by the time he was able to get another Jin Woo out, unfortunately, I had 2 life remaining instead of 1 life. So he was able to hit me 1 chip damage, which I think was a face-up shin. However, I was able to recover and then swing for game the next turn. Going off of that, like I said, round 7 was the only game I lost, which was against Jason. And that game was streamed, so if you go onto Twitch or later on if anybody posts it, please feel free to go watch me. I'm sure I misplayed. I should not have kept my starting hand. I think I had both of these Sakamotos in hand and like 2 other raids in my starting hand. But Jason's list is just... it just works. I don't know how he was able to get it off, but it just worked out beautifully for him. He only has the 4 Nagumo, but all he has to do is C1, and then he could bottom deck any of my characters. And then he was able to get, I think, 2 of these Asaragis on field, so even if I was able to deal with the one on the front line, he still had one in the back. And then even then, he saw both Sakamoto raids, Shishiba raid, Asaragi raid. It was just an uphill battle, but, you know, I love this deck. I almost played a version of this deck, but I ended up playing Yellow Sakamoto after some further testing. I know, really boring. But, you know, kudos to him. And then my last game, I ended up playing into a mirror match, which I got very fortunate in only having 1 Yellow Sakamoto mirror match in my last game. I told my teammates the entire time through every round where I was at the top tables, almost everyone around me was either in a mirror match of Yellow Hybrid or they were playing against a Yellow Hybrid. So, very fortunate that it was only my last game that I had to deal with the mirror, but sure enough, I was able to persevere and ended up placing 4th, which I still don't know how that ended up happening. Again, Bandai is just really wonky with the way things work, but here is a picture of me with the top 16. So, this is the top 8, excuse me. But, you know, it was just such a great, fun experience. I'm going to be honest, I've never been able to top at one of these events before. This is my 4th regional, actually. I competed back in Indianapolis at Gen Con, which there is a clip, I think, from GG Haven where you see me round 2 playing against Gutless Mist, which he is a phenomenal guy. Much love to him. And I'm waiting for him to get his invite later this year. Because I do want to play against him in the Nationals. You know, I want to have a really fun rematch game in a different setting, whether we're both playing Bleach or we're both playing something crazy. No matter what it is, he is just such an awesome guy and so fun to play against. And along with Jason, I just can't wait to hopefully see both of them at the Nationals. But yeah, so there you have it. Like I said, this list is very kind of generic, and I might make some changes. I keep thinking about it or overthinking it, but at the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And clearly, if this was enough to get me to top 4 at the regional, then clearly it did something right. So, with that, I will end off the video. Please don't forget to check me out on my other socials. If you haven't seen, I am over at X, as well as on Instagram, which is where I mainly post all of my major content. So, like I said before, my name is Zen, and I will see you in the arena.